And we are live. Hello, gentlemen. Welcome to my channel, Troy Francis' channel. So look, today I have a very, very special guest indeed with me, Mr. Tripp Kramer of Tripp Advice, who you can see sitting next to me on the screen. And we'll be going into a chat with him in a second. I just have to announce, though, before we start, that Charisma and Dating Academy, which is my 10-hour plus video course about dating, charisma, game, etc., went live today, and guys are signing up already. It's going really, really well so far. I'm really blown away by the response. You only have this window to sign up, so you've got until May the 4th, which is Monday at midnight EST, and then the cart closes. So if you want to get on board with the course or you want to find out more information about it, go to the link below. But you get the 10-hour video course, plus you get 10 Zoom webinars with myself and the rest of the group, and some other bonuses as well. So I'm really excited about it. It's going to be awesome. Places are filling up already, so jump on board with that. Anyway, enough of the plug. With all of that said,
I don't think so. I'm excited about it too. Can you tell me if someone gets the course, what's the biggest benefit from the course? Like what will they? How will their lives change after they go through it?
Well, the idea, right, is that it's a complete transformative program that will take you from chode to Chad, to be slightly cheesy about it. But no, I mean the thing is, right. And I was just speaking to somebody else on a different channel about this just now. When I think about my career in this space, if you like, and the fact that I believe that I've punched above my weight over the years pretty consistently, you know, when you're creating, as you know, content for people, you know, you take a step back and you think, well, what can I really give that's actually going to make a difference? And I was trying to think about, well, what's actually made a difference in my own life. And I think a lot of it was not so much the technicalities of game, if you like, although I do go into that stuff as well in the final section, but a lot of the mindset stuff, right? A lot of the, what I suppose we call inner game, which is to say charisma, bringing out your inner bad boy, radically differentiating yourself from the pack, etc., etc. So what I do in the course is basically sort of reverse engineer all of that stuff in terms of how it worked for me, and to teach it to other guys, if you like. So I think by the end of it, you're going to have radically transformed in terms of your mindset, the way you view yourself, the way you view the game, and you'll also have the principles to apply as well in order to get success in this market. And let's face it, it's pretty challenging out there at the moment, not pandemics aside, right?
Oh yeah, absolutely. You know, it's interesting too, is I can relate to what you're saying, because when I create all my content, my courses, videos, my advice, it's everything that I wish I would have heard when I first started back in, 2007, 2008, when I was diving into this stuff. You know, it's everything that I think would have been the best help for me, and what I think is going to be the best help for other guys. But I kind of imagine myself, like, what would I have wanted to learn? I didn't even have to, and I'm sure it's the same for you. Like, I didn't have to ask myself that question. It just, that's what you start creating. You start creating the thing that you wish you had when you were trying to learn this, like how to make it easy to understand and then implement and then get fast results from. So,
yeah, exactly. And I think it can be easy for a content creator to, there's a lot of stuff in this space that can be sort of recycled, isn't there? And it can be easy to go over old ground. And what I really wanted to do was try to resist that as much as possible, and to say, and to really think honestly about, well, what actually made the difference for me? Was it the fact that I said this line in this particular way? Mm-hmm. Was it the fact that I followed the 3-second rule or something like that? Or was it actually these other things? And then I took those other things and put them into the course. So
right, exactly. The things that matter, not the BS, you know what I mean?
The
things that people think matter, the stuff that's entertaining and fun, but what actually works? Like what no frills. Like, what's the real thing that makes it work and gets someone results? That's cool.
Yeah, exactly. So listen, guys, so Tripp was kind enough to contact me a little while back, and I went onto his podcast a couple of weeks ago now, actually, and we had a really good chat about daytime approach, day game, and so on and so forth. and I was keen to get Tripp to come over here and chat to him in turn about his work and his career, because I've been aware of your stuff for a long time, but obviously we hadn't met before, a couple of weeks back. So it's been really great to connect with you and so on and so forth. But the other thing is, as I mentioned to you actually before we did that interview, was that I listened. Obviously, I've listened to your podcast and watched the videos and things for a while, but I liked your interview with Richard LaRuina, gambler, that you did a little while back, and obviously through listening to that, it's clear that you've been in this space for quite a long time, and you know quite a few of the players, to coin a phrase, in it, etc., etc. So, I mean, could you tell us a bit about your history with this stuff and how you got into it, really?
Yeah, I mean, I can go real far back. I mean,
Yeah,
we can go back to let's go to 2006. 2006 is when I went to LA for a summer, and I was just about to graduate college. So this is summer going into my senior year of college, and I'm at lunch and I'm with two of my buddies, and one of them says, "Hey, have you guys heard about this book called The Game?" Right? And
yeah,
it's funny because this is like the 9 out of 10 people to tell the story of how they got into it. It starts with that.
yeah,
So it's not original, but it was interesting. My progression with it was, so I was like, no, I never heard of it. And then my friend's like, yeah, it's just really interesting. Like I read it, and it's about these like pickup artists and da 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 da. And I was like, okay, cool. And then I just kind of forgot about it. And then I went back to school for my last year of college, senior year, and then another friend mentioned it, and he goes, yeah, like I can't stop reading it. I'm just like hooked on this thing. Like it's just well written. It's really interesting. And I go, okay, send it to me. And he sent me like the PDF. So I was reading a PDF of it because I don't know. That's what he sent me. So I
yeah,
started reading it, and it's so well written that it's so entertaining. And for a guy who doesn't have the chops with women, it's a fantasy, right? So you're just like, oh wow, like this person who you can kind of relate to is going through the struggle of meeting women, and all of a sudden he's dating and sleeping with these supermodels. Like what's going on here? And so yeah, I read it. And then I was like, wow, this is interesting. I wonder what stuff is online. And so I started looking stuff up online, and there was all these forums. And now we're still in 2006, and it was really interesting, like all these different like techniques and things to say, and these formulas of attraction and all this stuff. So I was like, huh.
yeah,
And so I remember I didn't dive into it too deep, but just a little bit. And I tried one of the lines out. It was about a girl having either what's called a C smile or a U smile. So a C is when they have wide teeth, and a U is when like the teeth go further back, and it says something about you or whatever. And so I butchered the line, and I said it to some girl, and the second I said it, she goes, "Is this a pickup line?" It was like I was called out. So I was like, this is not going to work. This is dumb. I can't use this stuff. So time goes by, and then I'm now out of college. I'm in the real world. I'm 22 years old, and and then I finally moved to LA permanently. So I'm in LA, and I don't know anyone except for my roommates, so I'm trying to go out and meet women, and all I know is to get drunk and do your best, right? That's what college is
yeah,
like. You get drunk and you do your best, and maybe something happens. In the real world, it doesn't really work that way. I mean, it can, but it wasn't for me. It was like in college, like everyone's very social and da, da, da. But I'm in LA. People are a little bit harder to talk to. You're in with like older adults. You're not with kids anymore, like 19-year-olds. And so it got really hard to meet women. And I was like, man, maybe I should go back to what happened with those guys who did the stuff in the game. I was like, but it didn't really work. But still, something happened. Something must have worked. So I started diving into more material. And I remember like studying it, but I hated it because I hate studying in general. So I
yeah,
made note cards, and I was just like, this is brutal. I was like, it was painful going through all this stuff, learning this stuff. And then I implemented it again. Same thing happened. Someone says, this sounds like this is now when the pickup artist show on VH1 came out. And the girl was like, are you doing a pickup artist move? And I was like, oh no, I get called out again. So like, this stuff is not working. Or, clearly I'm just not doing it right. Obviously it works for some people, but I wasn't connecting with it.
yeah,
So another year went by, didn't do anything. I wasn't really, it was Tinder and dating apps were like not out, but sites were out, and they just weren't popular yet. So I still wasn't seeing really any results because I wasn't doing that stuff and I wasn't doing anything. So finally, there was a moment when I went online and I did online dating for a month, and it just was terrible. And so now I came to a point where, okay, I have to give this my all. Like I have to really put a lot of effort into this for this to work, not just
Mm.
look at a couple of techniques and try to implement them. Like I really got to make this work. So I was on kind of my last straw here because I really wanted success with women. So then I finally dived more into the material and kind of started from scratch. But then I started to say to myself, you know what I need to do? I need to just go out
Mm.
and learn how to just communicate with women and people sober. Like I have to do this
Yeah.
without alcohol so I can be like more focused and with it, because I would find myself not really, for some people alcohol, helps you, loosen up. And yes, that happened to me too, but you're not really functioning as well as you can be when you're,
Mm.
versus being sober. So like I felt
Yeah.
like it was hindering my progress. So I started going out and just talking to women and approaching women and doing this with no alcohol just to see if I can get better at it. I'll spare the details, but it was brutal. Like the beginning was brutal. I mean, like, I'm not
Yeah.
talking like I went out for 4 hours one night and I didn't say hi to one girl. My approach
Yeah.
anxiety was through the roof. It just it was terrible. Like then I almost gave up again. Like all these points of almost giving up. I was like, no, I just got to push through. I got to push through. So I kept going out. And then I noticed, okay, I'm getting more comfortable talking to women and I'm sort of getting responses. Let me learn a little bit more. So I'd go back and kind of learn some pickup stuff, or just learn more about attraction and learn things and implement things and learn more about like Kino escalation and all that stuff.
Mm.
Just pushing myself out of my comfort zone so much to the point where I was starting to see little bits of success. And I was going out like to a point of 3 to 5 nights a week
Yeah.
practicing this stuff sober while I had a normal job, so I'd be going into
Yeah.
work like so tired. I remember like I got pulled over, um, I got pulled over driving home 2 nights in a row, not because I was drinking, but because I was falling asleep at the wheel driving home, because I was driving 45 minutes from the suburbs of LA to Hollywood. So I was doing like the things that like were really hard but I really wanted it. And I think
Mm.
getting some bits of results was motivating me. And also I was at the point of no return where I was just doing it so much, it's like I had to keep going. So then I
Yeah.
had times when I was going out like 3 weeks in a row. So I did this maybe like 2 or 3 times. People called it Sargathons. Okay, so
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't know if people know what sarging is anymore. It's kind
Yeah.
of an older term, but it just means going out and gaming
Mm.
and approaching women. But they would call them Sargathons, and so I would do them. I would go out every night, even on Sundays, for like 3 weeks. And I made a friend who was a club promoter, and if you want to, there's a club to go to every single night in LA if you know the right
Mm.
people. So I got in with that crew, and I started going out, and it was, I mean, yeah, it just was mind blowing, some of the results I was getting. I mean, I was, sleeping with women that I never thought I would sleep with. I was dating women I
Mm.
never thought I could date. I was, it's like, it's not like I changed into a different person. It's just like it was inside of me the whole time to be able to be a little bit more social, gregarious, fun, confident. It's like I had to like rip off all these layers, like
Yeah.
Clark Kent is ripping off his jacket to see, the Superman
Yeah.
logo. It's like that's what I had to do through all the work and the nitty gritty and the rejections and the late nights and all that stuff. And so
Yeah.
I was just getting, yeah, I was just loving it, seeing the results I wanted, and then it just got to the point where I was like, it just clicked, and it clicked so well because I was working so much at it that's when I started to help other guys. I started to help my friends, not thinking I wanted to be a coach. And then like a year after that, that's when I decided to get into coaching and helping other
Mm.
guys. And because to me, and one of this is for you too, Troy, is like, I had such an urge to help guys because it made so much sense to me. I was like, I have to share this. Like I have to like
Yeah.
help other guys in a way that I think I can help them better than all the current stuff that's out there right now. And that was in
Yeah.
2011.
Okay. Yeah.
So
Yeah. No. Yeah. Yeah. 100%, man. I mean, and I think that is the right motivation, isn't it? Because I think other people will come into the space maybe because they think it's a good way to make money or whatever. But I think that's the wrong way to go about it. I think you've got to come from a place of actually wanting to help people, right? First and foremost, and then taking it from there. And then, you know, if success in the field then is that is going to come as a result of that. It's not going to come from doing it the other way around. But I was curious, what were you like when you were younger? What were you like as a kid? Was this were you rubbish socially? Were you no good with girls, or were you actually did you actually have some proficiency, but you just needed to
So
polish it up, so to speak?
it was like I needed to really polish it up, like
Okay,
hardcore.
yeah.
So, I mean, I guess we can go back to high school, right? Like high school, like I did lose my virginity at a pretty normal age. I was,
Mm,
17 to my girlfriend. But then like 5 months into it, she cheated on me and we broke up.
right.
And then I go to
Mm,
college and like I wasn't like a nerdy guy in the fact that I was completely antisocial. Or I don't
mm,
know, however you want to define nerd. I don't know. I wasn't like I call myself a shy extrovert. Okay. Like
right.
I
Yeah.
love
Okay.
to be with my friends. I wasn't introverted and staying inside. Like I loved socializing, but it didn't amount to anything with results with women. Like, yeah, I
Mm,
slept with some women in college and but they were like it was like the low hanging fruit, so to speak. It wasn't girls I was really interested in. It was just
yeah.
doing it to do it, because you get drunk and whatever. But I wasn't happy with my results and I wasn't really truly confident. I mean, I really like the stars had to really align for me to end
Mm,
up with any woman. It wasn't like I was like, all right, there she is. I'm going to go and talk to
yeah.
her and do my thing. Like it was like it all had to kind of happen. And I remember my junior year in college, it was so weird. I had such a weird view on women and being like cool and confident. Like it was so off. It was hilarious and almost cringing because I was like, oh, I could have really worked on myself then. So basically, I remember like
Mm,
I was a junior in college, and I remember like I was in a fraternity, and all these girls were like coming over to socialize and hang out with us, and I would like ignore them, thinking
mm,
like I would look like that doesn't make any sense. It's like that it would look cool and that like
yeah.
I would be not that I was thinking like, oh, I'll be mysterious, but it was truly because I was shy. But I was like, okay, I'll just like not talk to them that much, and then eventually at the perfect moment we'll start talking. And of course that never happened. So
Yeah.
you know what I mean? It's just like, wow, no, that's the complete opposite. What would have been better is approaching them right away. Hey, what's up? Welcome, welcome. Welcome to the
Yeah.
house. Glad you guys came over. What's your name? Oh, cool. What's your
Yeah.
name? Awesome. Cool. You guys in a sorority? Oh, no, you're not? Okay, awesome. Come inside. I'll make you a drink. Like, that would
Yeah.
have been amazing. And the girls would have been like, wow, who is this guy? It's very simple stuff, but I was too cool, right? I was too cool
Yeah.
about it. And,
Yeah.
and so, yeah, so that was my experience when I was younger. So, yeah, like results here and there. But then, like, I moved to LA and nothing. Like, it was
Yeah.
like nothing at all. Like, nothing, like, because you really have to when you live in a city, especially LA, because it's so spread out. You have to really make moves to make anything happen. You
Yes, and
know,
I mean, presumably, the competition is such in LA that is it a more difficult situation, is it sort of city than for that reason, or would you say if you've still got some chops, there are still not low hanging fruit, but it's still possible for the average guy who isn't a basketball player or whatever
yeah,
or
no, of
a
course
film
it's
star.
yeah, I mean it was. I mean, I was that's where I learned everything. That's where I evolved, and that's where I
Mm,
did get results. So yeah, absolutely. It's just it's harder for two reasons. It's harder because you don't have many shots. Like you really have to
mm,
work hard at like, getting volume. So when I say
right.
volume, I mean like especially like at the point when I was doing it, there was no Tinder and people
Mm,
weren't really doing dating sites that much. You were if you really were looking for a relationship.
mm,
So you needed to get a lot of volume and you needed to do it in person. And it was just hard to do that in LA because it was not like there's like a lot of streets with like all these bars are right next to each other or like a big
right.
downtown area. Like if you wanted to go from one bar to the other, like you had to drive
Okay.
and
Yeah.
and then you had to get there at the right time and you had to get in. So it's like if you leave one place, it's like you approached all the women and you want to go to another place. It might be
Yeah.
really tough for you to go to another place, drive across, and then get in, and then everything shuts down at 1:30.
Okay.
So
Yeah. So.
so you just have to
Mm,
work harder, and I think that's
mm,
why going out like 3 weeks in a row, like I did a few times, helped a bunch because I needed to do that to get the volume. It's funny. I'm saying this to you now. I didn't know this in the moment, but I'm saying it to you now, realizing why it was so hard. And then the second reason why it's a little bit more difficult is everyone's really going for the top tier.
Mm.
So it's like, we're in Chicago or maybe some other cities, not really including Miami. It's like New York, Miami, and LA are kind of similar like this in my eyes, is that it's really easy for, or let me rephrase this. There's so many like top tier people
Mm.
where it's, you're really competing with guys who are charismatic and are really good looking and are driving a Ferrari. You know what I mean?
Mm.
And so a person with really good game, you can compete with that, but it's going to be really hard. You know what I mean? So I'm not saying you can't get results in LA, but you're just competing with the top of the top. So
Yes.
your game has to be really
Mm.
good because everyone's going to the next best thing because it's LA and any moment you can meet a new celebrity or an actor and like you can't compete with that if a girl is a model and she meets a dude that is an actor on TV, like
Mm.
everything goes out the window at that point because of status.
Mm.
And so that's just the thing with LA. Again, I'm not putting it down. You could do well in any city. It just I
Mm.
found that you'd have to work a little bit harder in that case. So
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's interesting that you mention that about the competition in LA, though, because I mean, one of the things that I've been, as probably many of us, talking about a lot recently in recent years is the sort of global competition that we're seeing now, right? Because obviously you've got Instagram, you've got the dating apps, and all of those things have come to the fore since we've, I guess, been in this space. Um, there is an argument now that even if you're in a small village in Siberia, you're theoretically competing with some guy who's got a yacht in Monaco because he could be hitting up the same girl as you. And so now we're in this sort of increasingly globalized situation. What do you make of that?
I hear what you're saying. I think it doesn't make that big of a difference.
Mm.
It's really your competition at the end of the day. It's in your town, and
Mm.
you shouldn't even look at it like that. Like there, it's I know I kind of said that with LA, but I mean, yeah, sure, are a handful of really attractive women in your city gonna not care about you because they're getting DM'd by whoever you were just mentioning, like people who have crazy lives on Instagrams. Yeah, okay, I'm sure that's happening, but I don't think it's gonna make that big of a difference in terms
Mm.
of the competition and who you can meet. You know, um, I think as long as a new girl becomes single every day, a new
Mm.
girl turns 18 every day.
Mm.
Like there's so many options. Even if you
Yeah.
live in a small city, there's just so many options. So I don't
Mm.
think it's ever really a problem. But again, depending on the layout of the city, it might be just more difficult to get the volume in, but there's always a solution. I work with clients who live in smaller towns and they say, Trip, like there's no one here, there's no one here. Like we really like what am I gonna do? And every single time I've been able to solve it because if you don't live in a town with a lot of people, it's that local. I guarantee you live unless you're a farmer, you live somewhere that is 30 to 45 minutes away from another big city. And so you just
Yes.
have to kind of suck it up and drive. That's what I had to do for a whole summer in LA when I was learning this stuff.
Yeah.
I was in the suburbs. I had to drive 45 minutes to an hour if I wanted to go out and do this. So you
Mm.
can't put the excuses in. There's always a way to get there and make it happen.
Yeah, yeah, I think that's right. I think that I think as well it makes sense. I mean, you kind of do have to travel if you really want to get good at this stuff. If you really want to, and get a lot of experience under your belt, you kind of are going to have to travel. I mean, I think Paul Janker said, to guys who contacted him, they would say, well, how do I get really good at day game? And they live in some, a really small town somewhere. And he'd say, well, ultimately, you kind of need to come to New York, or you kind of need to go to your nearest big metropolitan city and practice there because you need to get the shots in, right? You need to get that volume.
Yeah, exactly. So, no excuses. You got to do it. And that's also the biggest problem I've seen with guys too is a lot of guys who come to me asking the question like, "Oh, like I'm not getting enough numbers or they're not responding to my texts or I can't get enough dates." I always diagnose and then it's the same problem every time is, they're talking like one girl a week, and it's
Yes.
like, well, of course that's going to happen. Of course that's
Yeah.
going to happen. Your numbers are so low, and it doesn't matter how good of a pickup artist you are or good you are at game or whatever. You need volume no matter what.
Mm. Do you think that there's a certain quality that people who I suppose become good at this stuff, or sort of, and certainly people who end up going professional, do you think that there's a certain sort of a slightly addictive sort of nature to them, in the sense that they most of the people I know have had a good chunk of time where they've been going and hitting it really hard, and I suppose there's a question, why are some guys like that and some guys aren't, and if you're training guys who maybe they aren't naturally like that, can they sort of become like that for a period of time in order to, at least in order to get skilled in the game?
I think it's like you need to do enough. It's almost with any skill, right? You
Mm,
got to get through a period of, man, this is really fucking hard. Like you need to
yeah,
get through that period and remind yourself to keep on going. And then, so you get through this period of, man, this is really fucking hard. And then all of a sudden you tap into, you know what? Something positive just happened. I finally got a
yeah,
positive thing to happen. It could be you got a number. It could be you had a nice conversation with a girl. It could be you got a one night stand. Who knows? But something
mm,
positive happens. And so I feel like if we get you to that point, it's enough motivation to keep on going, right? To keep
yeah,
on going. But the thing is every time you hit one of those points, you go through another fuck this is hard period.
yeah,
Right? It's like jumping to the next levels and getting better and better. It gets not harder, but you just enter a new period of this is hard. So you really have to keep on going. And then I don't know, depending on the person, for me, I wanted it so bad. I don't know if it was like an
yeah,
addiction. It was more just like a burning desire to have success in an
yes,
area that I really cared about, But I
mm,
do see that side of myself in everything that I do in terms of trying to, that are important to me. Like I won't give up. Like I won't give
yeah,
up and just keep going and get through it. I think, you know, people people might just give up easier because they haven't gotten to the point where they hit that, okay, something positive happened here. So I always tell guys, like, you got to kind of like be aware that you're in that moment. The awareness of I'm in that moment actually helps you push through that. So what I'm trying to say is, if you just keep on going out, nothing's happening, you're putting in effort and nothing's happening, hopefully you can sit down. And I couldn't do this when I was doing it because I didn't know, but now I can say it to you and say it to other
mm,
people. It's like you can sit down and go, man, this is not working. Oh, right. I'm in that fuck, this is hard period. And I just
yeah,
have to keep on going. I just have to keep on going, and
yeah,
then there's other people out there who do get addicted to it in a sense where, and this is where it gets a little dark, but they're addicted to the validation that they're
mm,
trying to seek from women. So they get the validation. It feels good because they already have low self-esteem. So then it feels really good and they want more and more and more of that. And it inevitably gets them better because they keep going out, meeting more women, but they're only doing it because they feel so crappy about themselves. And it's just like a hole that
yeah,
won't ever be filled.
yeah, 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 exactly. And if you're getting to that point, then you need to, you obviously need help, not help, but you need to look at those issues beyond game, right? You
Right.
need to have. I mean, the cliche that I think many of us say, but I think is absolutely true, is you need to have a mission that's bigger than this in your life. Is that something that you go along with?
Well, yeah, I mean, absolutely. It shouldn't be the only thing in your life. You
Yeah.
need to have other things happening in your life, friends, hobbies, focusing on your work, whether you're an entrepreneur or you're just, going up the ladder in somewhere corporate and just pushing yourself in those areas and 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 having an interesting life that's fun to you,
Mm.
where you don't have to be so focused on women and on all the time, and also having a life outside of women is actually going to help you get women because you're going to be
Mm.
less needy and you're going to have more things going on that you're not going to have to always be texting them all day and worrying what they're doing all day because you're so busy with your own life.
Yeah, yeah, for sure, for sure. One thing that you said earlier, by the way, that resonated with me was the idea that you were sort of saying that you needed you had some proficiency with women in your earlier life, but you kind of needed a lot of polishing
Barely.
in order to make it sort of stick. You needed to do all of that work in order to make it sort of I suppose reliable in a way. Because I mean, my experience with this was I was I was pretty terrible actually when I was a kid and at school, you know, and I was a classic sort of I was quite introverted. I wasn't very socially skilled, all of that kind of stuff. And then I I then went to university and I discovered, you know, drinking a lot and partying and all this kind of stuff. And then I actually did get kind of better, right? I then did things did start to happen for me, but it wasn't in any way it wasn't reliable, right? I wasn't in control at all. I mean, my strategy literally was at that time what you described of almost, well, let's get drunk and I'll do my best and see what happens. I mean, that kind of was the strategy, if you like. And sometimes things would come of that, and I'd meet somebody, and you know, sometimes we'd end up dating or whatever, and other times I wouldn't. And it was only when I did like you know, read the game, I suppose, really, and then started to get onto forums and things like that, that I started to realize that you could sort of, if you learned certain ideas and certain techniques, you could sort of put a system in place that it's not going to work all the time, but it sort of works more often than not. And at least you know where you are with things, and you know kind of even if you do an approach and you end up getting rejected, you sort of have an idea why you got rejected. There's a bit more science behind it, and you gain this control over this aspect of your life. And I sort of think, you know, how you've got guys who just who don't believe that any of this stuff works, and they just think, well, it's you know, it's but clearly it does, because like you said, you know, I went from having occasional successes to having successes that were beyond anything I would have imagined relatively consistently. And I hadn't changed in terms of the way I looked or the way that I, you know, dressed particularly, or my financial situation or anything like that. So I don't know. I mean, how would you address that issue of, you know, this I suppose the myth that this stuff doesn't work, or it's all kind of overblown?
That's interesting. It's funny because I know that exists, but I haven't heard that in so long. It's almost
Really?
like yeah, it's almost like I feel that, you know, but you know, I'm not doubting that that is something that people are talking about, but I haven't heard that for so long. It's like they haven't even addressed it. But I mean, what can I say? Like, yeah, like there are so many people who are going out and doing this stuff, and it's clearly working. You know, it's
Mm.
clearly working. Like, not like everyone's lying. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
so many people are just like are faking their results. You know, it's like, no. I mean, and then I know people, you know, other people who in my life who are friends who I've seen get so much better at it, and they were terrible. You know, so I don't know what to tell
Mm.
you. You know, don't knock it till you try it. I mean, hey, listen,
Yeah.
you can be skeptical, you know, by all means, be skeptical, but don't knock it until you've actually done it yourself. And if
Mm.
it's not working for you, you know, I don't know. I would say you're probably just not pushing it hard enough. And let me tell you, I had to push it really, really hard. So every excuse any guy has ever had, it, you know, I've been able to bust through it. And I had the
Mm.
excuse too. Like, you know, again, I live too far away, or, I don't look like Brad Pitt, and I'm not rich.
Mm.
Um, I'm really shy. Oh, you know, all these girls are stupid anyways, and they're just a bunch of sluts. You know what I mean? Like all these different things where I was able to break through all of them. So I'm here to kind of tell guys, there's no excuse. You absolutely can get results in this area, but you have to put the right amount of effort into it.
Yeah. Well, I suppose, I mean, there are a few like naysayers out there, but I suppose a more common thing that guys will say is, well, it's all about looks, money, and status, basically. And I mean, you know, you Trip. I mean, you're a good looking guy, so you know, there's always going to be that element of people that think, well, it's only about those things, and if you don't get those things, if you haven't got those things, then you might as well give up. That's obviously something I profoundly disagree with. But could you speak to that a bit? You
Well,
know,
sure. Listen, it's interesting because you say I'm a good looking guy, and yeah, I guess my face isn't like completely distorted and whatever. You know, I I never really thought that. and I never got results because of that. You
Okay.
know,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
like it didn't do anything. Like the amount of effort I had to put in to get results was not what you would think a good looking guy would have to do. I guess my point here
Yeah.
is like good looks only go so far in helping you. I
Mm.
know plenty of guys who have come to me who are really good looking guys and
Mm.
they were struggling. I know girls who have completely rejected good looking guys because they just didn't have the charisma. They didn't know how to, they were boring. They didn't know how to
Yes.
speak to a girl. They couldn't trigger emotions. So yeah, sure, being good looking helps, but it only gets you, it really only gets you so far. And
Yeah.
even being rich and all that stuff, like, yes, I'm not gonna lie, that works. If you are rich and famous and good looking and you have zero charisma, like you'll go pretty far. You'll go pretty far. It's gonna be, and then like you don't have to have the best personality in the world to even get further than that, sure. But who cares? That's not you, right? It's like
Yeah.
that's
Yeah.
not you who's watching this video. You're not
Mm.
that person. So what are you going to do? Just complain on the internet and say, "Well, you need this. I'm out." Okay, bye. Go MGTOW. See you later. And don't work on this stuff. That's up to you if you don't want to do it. But the good news is, I'm here to kind of like share the good news is you don't need to have those stuff to get the results you want. You can
Mm.
still, because your personality and your behaviors have such a more profound effect on attraction than all the other things. Do
Mm.
you want to look like shit when you go out, and do you want to like not work on your career and have no money and have no friends and like live with your parents or whatever? Like, no, like, don't do that either. I always say you want to work on two things: your outer qualities and your inner qualities. Outer qualities are, yeah, optimize the way you look the best you can, work out, be healthy, get a haircut, whatever, work on style, all of those things. Like, sure,
Yeah.
optimize all that stuff to the best of your ability, make money. Why wouldn't you want to make a lot of money? That's great to have a lot of money, right?
Mm.
Do all those things, do your best, and then simultaneously work on your inner qualities, which are your behavior, the things that are going to really, really push it when you're with
Mm.
a girl and getting her attracted. Really work
Yeah.
on your charisma, the way that you talk to her, the way that you communicate your confidence, all of those things.
Yes.
And that's what I preach. That's kind of like the Trip advice method, is working on both of those
Mm.
simultaneously, and you'll see results. You'll see better than you're doing now.
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly. And that's a really good point because there's it is 100% possible to mess up something that should be a surefire thing for you if you haven't got if your charisma's not on point, if the way that you come across, if what you talk about, or the way that you converse with her isn't on point. And I know because I've done this myself. I've been in situations. I remember a situation years ago, one of those ones I probably won't forget, where a girl, sometimes you come into contact with a girl and it's instantaneous. She's into you. She's just attracted to you, right? Because of the way you look or something about you, whatever. And I remember one time I went to this event and that happened. This girl saw me. She kind of smiled. It was clear that it was sort of on. I went over and sat down and started talking to her, and I was just not on point that day for whatever reason, right? I was just like, I was just flat. I started doing really boring conversation about, her job or something like that. And I remember her looking at me, and she looked at me and she said, she looked disappointed, and she looked at me and she said, "You really want to talk to me about what I do for work?" And I was like, well, yeah, So how is the tech industry these days, or whatever, Anyway, suffice to say, she kind of ended up blowing me off, and then later on, I saw her, chatting with some other dude, and it's sort of like that. That should have been, if the theory it's just about the way you look and everything else, that should have been a clear run for me, because she was clearly interested at the beginning, but I messed it up because of the other stuff, right? Because of the charisma, because of the lack of charisma, because of the subject matter I chose, because of the way probably that I spoke to her, because of the lack of sexual undercurrent perhaps in the conversation, and so on. And those things can be learned. Those things can be taught, right?
Oh yeah, I mean absolutely. And here's, I want to add something to what you said too, is sometimes if you go out, you can just get enough results by just being there, because of something you said. Sometimes a woman is going to be really into the way you look, right? Like some women are into like super skinny, Jewish looking, big nose, curly haired dudes. Some women are really into that. It's like niche, right? So all you have to do is kind of show up and be confident enough, and then you can take that girl home or start dating her. You know what I mean? So it's like giving yourself a shot, because sometimes a woman is just going to be, sometimes you're going to look like someone she knows, or someone, or maybe you'll look like her ex-boyfriend, or maybe she just likes your vibe, like the way that you dress and your style, and she's like into that. Like this, you know who Brad P is?
Not sure.
Brad P. Okay, so Brad P. Oh, he's OG kind of pickup artist.
Oh yeah. Sorry. Yeah. I know the guy.
Yeah. No one knows what it looks like unless you work with him. Anyways, he talks about this idea of if you have a specific kind of niche style, like the way that you dress, some women will just be into that.
Yeah.
So he would always go for like rocker, like he would dress in like rocker clothes. He looked like he was in a rock band. And I don't think he was in a rock band. He just dressed that way. And some women were just really into that because he looked like, Trent Reznor from 9 Inch Nails.
Yeah.
So you can kind of play with some of those things, and you can have like a very specific, and I don't mean peacocking. Peacocking is kind of its own little niche of like, I'm talking about dressing in a specific style that you dig or that kind of works for you. And then that can just get you enough, So I don't know. I just wanted to add that point for guys who are trying to learn this stuff.
Well, so and part of it as well. I mean, sometimes the game gods will throw you a lucky card or whatever.
Yeah,
and
but because you went out and actually did something. I'm not saying you should do that. Like, someone said here, Tripp, you're describing every single young lad's game who go out to the club, like go and hope. Like, that's not what I'm saying. Don't go and hope. Do your best. But I'm just sometimes a layup. You can get a layup.
Yeah, absolutely.
Just by putting in enough effort. So I encourage guys to go out and to try this and do your best.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, of the different types of game, if you like, I mean, is there any area that you sort of specialize in? Do you lean towards any particular thing more these days? Or, I mean, it seems like initially you were doing a lot of the nighttime stuff. I mean, are you still in that space, or do you do more daytime stuff, or how does it?
All of it, really.
Yeah.
I mean, direct, and daytime and nighttime.
Yeah.
All of it. Wherever you want to meet women. I don't really specialize in one or the other. It's just more about putting yourself out there, getting a lot of volume, working on the inner qualities, the outer qualities, and not, I'm really, the indirect stuff never worked for me. When I say indirect, I mean like, starting conversations as if you're not trying to hit on her. Going and asking an opinion on something, or opinion openers. And that was really big in the book, The Game, too. It's like, who lies more, men or women?
Yes.
And I'm not saying that couldn't work now, but I think more than not, some women would see through it because that's been around for a while. And also just cut to the chase. It's more attractive anyways when you're putting yourself in front of a woman saying like, I'm here to talk to you because I'm interested in you. Like that takes a lot of balls, and they know that.
Yeah, I mean, I've been of that persuasion for a long time, actually. I mean, I pretty much always do direct, and have done for years, really, whether it's daytime or nighttime, right? I mean, I just kind of think, like you said, why not cut to the chase? Why not just go in there? And so, I mean, she most of the time she knows anyway, right?
She knows exactly, man. She knows anyways. Like you're going over there, like please, like you have to. It's harder. That's actually the thing. It's harder skill wise to go in direct and like softly maneuver it into, hey, now we're interested in each other because we're talking, versus the, I guess, I don't know, skill, I put quotes, of like just having the courage to go direct. Like it's so much harder to work on being that good of a conversationalist to go from indirect to now I should ask you out, versus just going up and going for it, and you risk rejection. Big deal. You know what I mean? But it's easier. It's easier, and I think it's better in the long run.
I absolutely think so, 100%. I mean, and you always get that awkward. Well, unless you handle it skillfully, there can be that awkward transition where you're like, "So, where's Starbucks? And she goes, it's over there and around the left. And you're like, yeah. Oh, by the way, you're kind of cute. And it's sort of like, well, that it often doesn't work, or
it's confusing to them.
Yeah.
They're like, oh, okay. So you look less confident.
Yes, absolutely. But just one question though, and this is something that I genuinely wonder for myself. So I'd be interested. I'll get your take on this. There is a school of thought that says actually indirect is sort of the so how do I phrase this? Basically, you're going to lose more. You're going to lose a lot of opportunities that you might have got if you'd have just gone indirect, right? What's your feeling on that?
I can agree with that to a degree. I do, you're gonna, but the thing is when you go direct, if you're getting rejected that much, you might be doing it wrong. You know what I mean? Like when I say direct, I don't mean go up to a girl and go, wow, you are so hot. What's up? It's that's going to get you blown out. You know what I mean? But if you're a little bit more smooth with it and it's still direct, but it's like softer, right? So it's like just going up to a girl and say, hey, I wanted to come meet you. I'm Tripp. Yeah. What's your name? Hopefully you shouldn't be getting blown out as much. Like if you're dressed well, you have a good initial appearance that doesn't, have her reject you so fast, and you're just really calm and collected and giving her like good eye contact, and you're not acting strange, you should, in theory, I would believe, scare less women away. Again, you might still, if we look at the numbers, for argument's sake, okay, maybe you do lose more women in the direct versus indirect, but I still think that it's not a skill that you want to build. It's that's not what you want to get good at, because you're almost like reinforcing this idea that women won't be interested in you unless they give you a shot and you need to smoothly get in there. Yeah, it's like I don't like the whole mindset behind it. I'd rather train a guy to just be to build the confidence and courage, because you know what, that's gonna, if anything too, this is just getting some theories, I don't want a guy to take that indirect method and then all of a sudden use that for all of his whole approach from beginning to sex to relationship. I just want you to be hey, this is who I am, this is why I'm here, this is what's up. I feel like there's almost more masculine qualities behind the direct approach,
Yes. I agree. And I mean, I would just much rather cut to the chase, really. Yeah. So even if you lose a few in the process, it's like, well, okay, fine, but I'd rather just be look, this is who I am. This is why I'm coming to talk to you. Let's have a conversation and take it from there. And
that one opener, there's an opener that went around called AYS. Do you know what that stands for?
Not sure.
It's called Are You Single? This was a little fad for a little while. Are you single? It was literally going up to women and going, hey, what's up? Are you single? That is super direct. That is going to blow you out. That's not going to work. Girls are going to be like, no. They'll probably lie to you.
Yeah.
So that's an example of okay, back it up a little bit. That's on the strong end of the spectrum of direct, which I wouldn't advise.
Well, I wouldn't go with that, because it just gives her a very easy out, doesn't it? Because she'll go, no, I'm not, and then that's it. So you've kind of so no, I wouldn't do that. What do you think of the Alan Roger Curry type stuff though? The Mode 1 type stuff. I mean, that's taking it.
Oh, that's funny. I don't. You have to remind me more about his stuff. I remember. I used to know it from years ago, 2013. But remind me with the Mode 1 or whatever.
I actually only read his book fairly recently, and it is pretty good in a way. But I mean, he just advises being super sexual when you're direct. I mean, it pretty much going over and saying, hey, you're cute. I can just imagine us. I could just imagine me slipping that dress off and us starting to, and all this kind of thing. And it's crazy. And I mean, some of the results that he claims to have got from it sort of stretches credibility a little bit. But I think that's probably, I like the idea of it, but I think that's kind of taking it a bit too far.
I think for the right guy, it could work. But as advice that I would like to give it's probably not going to work for most guys. And also just right now, that's a really scary, like, we don't really, I feel like we don't live in that environment where it's comfortable enough to really do that. Like
Yeah,
it's one thing to be assertive and take the lead and be sexual with them in the right environment. Like, yeah, like throw gas on the fire when there's something burning, right?
mm,
Meaning, like, if you're getting like a lot of indicators of interest from the girl, and you're in that mode, like, yeah, be sexual, like push it, like that's what she wants, that's what you want, like you guys are feeding off of each other, boom. But to do that cold, I don't know. I don't have much experience with that.
mm.
I can't say much to it, but I would imagine that it wouldn't work that well for most guys, you know? Like
Yeah.
you gotta like you gotta be so confident to pull that off. Like to use that as like a technique when you have no experience with women. Good luck. Good luck. I doubt that's gonna work.
Well, one thing I think that you can do is to start to inject a certain sort of sexuality into the interaction, or a certain flirtiness quite early on. I mean, not
You
necessarily from the
can,
open, but
yes.
I think you can do that. But again, I suppose that requires a bit of practice to get proficient with that, right?
Yeah, I would say so. And also just comfortable doing it. It's like you just like copying and pasting lines from that you hear on the internet for that could be a little bit difficult. You know, you got to really, it's more advanced because you have to kind of feel it in the interaction. Like there's some uh, advice out there that talks about, and I like this. It's interesting. I never really heard it like this before. Is like only touch a girl when you feel you want to touch her. Don't just
Mm.
touch a girl because a dating coach once said like you should, at
Mm.
this moment like give her a high five, or at this moment, pull her in for a hug, which I've definitely said before.
Mm.
I like that idea of just do it when you feel like you want to do it. That's way it's gonna be less robotic and more comfortable for you to do it. I just can't
Yes.
imagine a guy getting to that comfortability until he's had more experiences approaching women and talking to women. I'm not saying to a guy, don't do it. You got to approach more women. You can only do it when you get to 100 approaches. But what I am saying is you're going to have to get to a lot of approaches in reality to
Yeah.
get to that comfortability in the interaction
Mm.
to do that, you know?
Yeah, yeah, for sure. And I mean, the answer, like to a lot of this stuff, like you said, is ultimately you've got to go out and do this stuff, right? You've got to go out and get the reference experiences.
And then I think you can go back and you can play with some of those things and maybe play with the mode 1 stuff cuz maybe at that point you understand more about how that's going to work because like you said you have the reference experience. Hard to
Mm.
really implement things without the reference experience. That's why I would say to a
Yeah,
guy right now who's watching this, stop watching my shit, Troy's shit, anyone else's shit. Don't do, except for Troy's program. That's different. Get that. But other than that,
get
stop
that.
watching stuff for like a week and just go out and do approaches. Now I know right now that's not
Yeah,
happening because of what's happening in the world, but this will be on here forever. So, go out and do some approaches and mess up and fail just to get the experience of what it's like to be in an interaction with a woman. And then the advice and the YouTube videos and the stuff, it makes so much more sense. Like you
yeah.
get it because you understand, oh, that's when I would do that. That's when I would
Mm.
maybe say that. That's when I would push it to the next level. That's when I would get her number. That's when I would ask for the date. Like it connects better instead of you being like, okay, I'm gonna learn everything right now.
Mm.
It doesn't work as well that way.
Yeah, yeah. It's definitely something that needs to be practiced out there in the field, if you like, to start to progress. On the sort of, obviously, because you're a professional dating coach, and this is your thing, isn't it? Your full time
Yeah.
thing. How did that come about? You mentioned that you started to help other guys I think in LA, but I mean, where did you make the decision to sort of go full time doing this as a job? And I mean, how did was that an easy transition, or how did that go? How did that sort of all come about?
Easy and hard. I mean, basically what happened was I was giving advice to friends and things like that because I was seeing success and I was just like helping other friends and guys. And then I started a podcast that does not exist anymore. It's called Dudes Talking About Chicks. And I
Mm.
was doing that podcast with a friend of mine, And we were doing that, and that's when I started practicing giving advice, but I wasn't doing it for business. I was doing it for fun. I was still working somewhere else. And then after doing that for about 10 to 20 episodes, it just clicked one day. I was like, this is my calling. I'm
Yeah.
clearly really interested in this stuff. I love helping guys. I've seen success in this area. It all makes sense. I really want to help other guys. So then in
Yeah.
2011, I officially put up a website and started doing it. And 2012, I started my YouTube channel. 2015, I started my second podcast. But what happened was when I was doing when I first put my website in 2011, it was a slow progression,
Yeah.
because I didn't understand how to market and get my stuff out there and get eyes on my material. But then
Yeah.
after enough time and building a YouTube channel, it started to take off. But yeah, I've been full time since 2011. I
Yeah.
was on unemployment for about a year and a half, as I was unemployment, like money from the government,
Yeah.
while I was trying to build this business, because I quit my job and went full time into it. But
Mm.
then once I started getting clients, it just was off and running. So
Yeah. No, fantastic, fantastic. And I mean, now you help guys obviously all over the world. I mean, how do your services work? Are you doing a lot of sort of coaching over like Zoom or Skype and things like that,
yeah,
or
a lot of
like,
phone coaching,
yeah,
Sometimes, if we want to do FaceTime or Skype, we do that. But I do weekly calls, and I even have this cool thing, which is really helpful for guys, where they can text me unlimited. So,
cool.
they join one of my programs, they can text me and I'll answer them, and we'll just help them. So I'll be there for them on text, and we do the weekly calls. And then there is a package where, obviously not right now that's happening, but you can come out, we can do personal one-on-one work, and I do take you out in the field, and we do
Mm.
approaching and things like that. But I found that a lot of guys, it's really cool to do the in-person, in-field stuff, but I like doing the phone coaching because I'm with them for such an extended period of time,
Yeah.
and helping them kind of do it on their own. So both are great, but I do think the phone coaching is what helps in different ways, because we can just work for so long together. Really, if you do a combination of both, like you do a weekend and you go out and you do a bunch of approaches with a coach, and then have calls after that to just keep on going and keep you motivated and keep you on the right
Yeah.
track and things like that.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's how my coaching works, and we do that. I even have a group coaching program right now. And so I just started that, where I'm working with 4 guys, and we do Zoom calls every week, and we're in a little
Nice.
private WhatsApp group. So
That's cool. That's cool. And what about products and things? Because I know you've had you've had products in the past, haven't you? What's the score at the moment
yeah,
with your
so
stuff?
I have a course called Hooked, which is
Mm.
at getterhooked.com. So that's my course. That's all of my stuff I was talking about in terms of the inner qualities and outer qualities, and my whole system for going out and meeting women and attracting more women, and sleeping with women, getting into relationships. So that's like a 10-hour course that you go through and you implement. And then got the book. This is on Amazon. So this is the book, which is similar to the course, but just a little bit different, because it's in written form and there's certain
Mm.
exercises in here. So the book is great too. So yeah, really, I do coaching. I have that course. I have this book, and then yeah, I have a continuity program called Irresistible Academy. So every month you get new information with different experts and talking about how to build an irresistible lifestyle. So it's like
That's cool.
it's a little bit more advanced, right? It's like we're
Mm.
talking about your bachelor pad. We're talking about your inner kind of emotions and inner strength in terms of how you handle anxiety and depression, things like that. We talk
Okay.
about
Yeah.
advanced conversation topics. We talk about a whole module where we just interview women and get their thoughts on dating and how they view dating. And then one on productivity, one on finances. So that's a
That's
separate thing.
cool.
You get a free trial of that when you get the Hooked course, but that's also separate too, which you can get to. So that's all the stuff I have in terms of guys being able to get more help. And of course, the podcast and the YouTube channel.
Yeah. Yeah. No, that's fantastic. You've got a great array of stuff out there, and I mean, your videos and the podcast are just a gold mine in terms of just helping guys with this stuff. So, so what for the initial visit? Where should guys go to find you? Should they obviously check YouTube or?
Well, yeah,
Um,
I know. See, there's people out on YouTube here. Also, some people from, what is that? Is that Periscope?
yes.
Cool. So are you going live on Twitter right now?
Mm.
Yeah. Oh, wow. Interesting. I should think about doing that. Um, So yeah, I would say check out my YouTube channel.
Okay. Yeah.
You're here, so I would check out some videos. If you like what you see, hit the subscribe button so you can get updated on all the new videos I come out with. So yeah, check out the YouTube channel, see if you like it. If you already like what you see and you're like, I'm in, I want to hear more about your material, I'd start with either Hooked or Get the Book.
Cool.
And those would be a good starting point for you to dive into material that's not on the podcast and not really on the YouTube channel, that's a little bit more organized in terms of you being able to go out and get results. And it does apply to online dating too for the time being. So
great stuff. Well, we haven't obviously touched on the current situation or had time to go into that, but it's I mean, look, it's going to pass, as we were saying the other week. This situation is not going to last forever, and guys need to be prepared to get out there and hit the ground running, right, when it starts to ease globally, this lockdown situation.
Online dating, just get your chops in with some online dating, do some apps, do some sites, do that for a while. I think in my theory, I hope at least, is in the next 30 to 90 days, we should be able to go back outside and get things going again. And eventually, we'll be back out there. So
we will. Well, listen, Tripp, it's been awesome to have you on. Thanks ever so much for taking the time out to come and chat. It's great to catch up with you as before, and hopefully we'll chat again. We'll be in touch. We'll chat again very soon. As I was saying at the beginning, no worries. As I was saying at the beginning, just another plug for Charisma and Dating Academy, my 10-hour video course, which is out now. You also get 10 Zoom webinar sessions with that as well as a couple of my books and some other bonuses. So if you want more information on that, then do check the link below. It's open now, but the cart closes on Monday at midnight EST. So if you want to get on to Charisma and Dating Academy, which you should, because it's awesome, do that now, or click the link below now for more information. And just bear in mind that as and when I release again later in the year, the price will go up. So it's $297 at the moment. That's the lowest price that it will be. So if you're interested, then now is the time to take action. But anyway, listen, Tripp, thanks ever so much for coming on. Great to chat. And we will speak again very soon. See you later, guys.
Awesome. Thanks.